Hi everyone, my name is Masih Alinejad. I am a journalist, author, human rights activist. Of course, the government called me a troublemaker. I would love to be a troublemaker for the oppressors. Today I am here to talk about coronavirus in Iran. Yes, the coronavirus has created mayhem for people all over the world. However, in addition to coronavirus, Iranian people have been dealing with a much deadlier virus, which is called religious dictatorship. It is called the Islamic Republic. I would like to tell you how the Islamic Republic covered up news about the outbreak of the coronavirus in Iran. By doing so, they have helped spread the virus not only in Iran, but also all over the Middle East. I am sure you remember when the coronavirus started in Wuhan, China. Gradually, all countries across the world reacted by suspending their flights to Wuhan, no? But in Iran, it was an exception. The Mahan Airlines in Iran continued to operate flights to Wuhan, putting the lives of Iranian people in danger. Can you believe that? Iran and China both repressed their people. They are also allies, the Communist China and the Islamic Republic of Iran. How ironic. You know who was left behind during coronavirus? Of course, the people. In most countries, the governments took action and warned the people about coronavirus, encouraged social distancing. But guess what happened in Iran? Of course, it's the people who posted videos using their camera, their social media to warn each other about the epidemic. It was the people who sounded the alarm. It was the people who encouraged social distancing, while the government actually encouraged people for a big turnout for the anniversary of the revolution and their fake elections. All because the regime wanted to show the rest of the world that this regime is legitimate. But let me show you different pieces of misinformation that show the authorities knew about coronavirus in Iran, but did their best to silence the news. They even jailed people to silence and cover up the coronavirus. Can you believe that? Here, I'm going to expose the truth. Here you are. One piece of misinformation. At the beginning of the February, a hotel in central Tehran fired an employee. His crime? Exposing that a Chinese visitor had coronavirus and he was in quarantine on the 5th floor of the hotel. The hotel even posted several announcements that the worker had been fired for spreading rumors and misinformation. It was a big lie from the hotel management. On February 2nd, when they posted the poster and announced that his name was Hadi Jagarvand, that went viral and people were very concerned. Nobody gave an explanation. Two pieces of misinformation in Iran. In early February, in the city of Sanandaj in western Iran, another activist used his camera to reveal that a patient suffering from coronavirus had been admitted to a local hospital. Guess what happened? Less than 24 hours, the authorities not only arrested him, but forced him to do a false confession on Iranian national television.
در گروه خانوادگی این کلیپ پخش شد. متاسفانه حالا به واسطه چند نفر این کراپ شده بود و در شبکه‌های مجازی پخش شده بود. من از این بابت معذرت میخوام از معذر اساتید.
این فرد میگوید فقط یک شوخی بود، شوخی که نگرانی را تا عمق خانه کردستانی ها.
In early February, in the city of Ahvaz, in south of Iran, activists posted a video of health workers wearing masks and gloves transporting a patient to a hospital in an ambulance. This time, the authorities said that the health workers were just practicing for coronavirus. It was a big lie that the people trying actually to warn each other, but the government hid the news about coronavirus. This is beyond sad. We had a doctor called Mohammad Moulai. In early February, his twin brother is hospitalized and Dr. Moulai recognized that his brother had coronavirus. The doctor informs the Ministry of Health about his brother's case, the official refused to test him and deny any news of coronavirus. What happened? Mr. Molai, Dr. Molai's brother, dies on February 15. But Dr. Molai used social media and posted a video of his brother on hospital. Instead, the Iranian official TV went after Dr. Molai. This time, there was no false confession, but the TV report said that the video from his brother was from a long time ago, and his brother had died much earlier. Dr. Molai didn't give up and continued to protest until the Ministry of Health admitted that his brother had died of coronavirus. And that was the first official announcement from the government in Iran. Here, another piece of misinformation in Iran. On February 12th, a newspaper announced that the first coronavirus patient in Iran had died on February 4th. What happened? Immediately, the health minister tweets that the news is false and the paper will be prosecuted. So not only is the virus spreading, but there is now the threat of jailing activists and journalists for anyone who publicizes the virus. But I have to tell you that Twitter is filtered in Iran. For the government, no, they can use for their own purpose and misinformation. On February 15th, Khamenei, the supreme leader of Islamic Republic, in his meeting with other officials, stopped people from kissing his hand. How do we know? One of the officials actually said that we were banned from shaking hands with the supreme leader of Iran. Why? Because we wanted to protect the Ayatollah. So they knew about coronavirus and they started to exercise social distancing to protect themselves, but not people of Iran. Instead, they encouraged people to go and vote in election or participate in the anniversary of the election. Everyone in power knew something about coronavirus and practicing social distancing, but they didn't want to let people know. This is a crime against human beings. Do you want to know who else knew about coronavirus in Iran? Of course, high-level medical officials. In a candid video, a hospital director reveals that although he knew about coronavirus entering Iran, he couldn't discuss about it. Why? Because he didn't want to create panic just before the election. The regime wanted a huge turnout for their fake elections, and that's why the doctors were told to keep silence. After the election, the official media broadcast an interview with a nurse who reveals that coronavirus had entered Iran as early as January, almost a month earlier than government first reported it. This created anger within the society, on social media. Less than 24 hours, believe me, less than 24 hours, the nurse appears on another video to read from a note making an apology and saying that I made a mistake. Can you believe that? Finally, Iran's former Minister of Health, Hashemi, declares on his Instagram page that actually first coronavirus in Iran were detected in mid-December. He said that he actually warned the authorities, but nothing was done. After pressure, of course, he had to delete his post. Coronavirus is a deadly disease, but when regimes suppress the news for their own political needs, the problem gets worse, resulting in more deaths. The Islamic Republic hid the news, refused to quarantine Iran. Authorities said because of sanctions, they didn't have enough money to quarantine the epicenter in Iran. If they don't have money for protecting people from coronavirus, I am asking them, how come they had money for morality police to beaten up people at the same time when people were suffering from coronavirus. If they cannot quarantine Iran to save lives of people, how come they quarantined Iran for 7 days in last November and cut off the internet to kill ordinary Iranians? And they killed 1,500 protesters. They had enough money to do it. If you're an activist inside Iran, you face arrest, interrogation, getting beaten up, and jail if you criticize how the regime spends its money. If you're an activist outside Iran like me, the regime goes after your family. Right now, my own brother has been detained for 8 months to silence me, and Iran's prisons are overcrowded and dirty. This is no way to stop the spread of coronavirus in jail, and the regime refused to release political prisoners. You know what? Anytime when I talk about prisoners, my heart aches because I think about my brother in jail. And I'm sure many Iranians have the same feeling when they think about political prisoners. Why? Because they have no voice while they know coronavirus entered prison. And none of the activists inside Iran can be their voices. The government do nothing. That is why many prisoners try to escape from prison. In 9 cities in Iran, we have riots. And guess what happened? 35 prisoners have been killed. So either coronavirus kills you or the prison guards will. Of course, general sanction has hurt Iran's people, including my own family in north of Iran. But it is the lies and mismanagement of the Islamic Republic that has produced the most deaths in the Middle East, in Iran. The regime in Tehran doesn't want medical supplies or doctors. The supreme leader has turned down offers of medical help from the United States. The group Doctors Without Borders sent a team of doctors and medical supplies to Iran. Guess what happened? They were kicked out. So you see, this is the true face of the Islamic Republic. And another reason that they kill more people. When Saudi Arabia closed religious sites in Mecca, when Iraq shut down mosques in Karbala and Najaf, Iran kept its religious sites open during the worst period of coronavirus in Iran. They kept quiet about virus. They hid it. Why? Because they wanted to get cash from the Western country. Recently, when a Revolutionary Guards commander died of coronavirus, the authorities held a public funeral and encouraged people to turn up during the time when every country is exercising social distancing. So you think this regime doesn't care about the lives of its own people. The regime is gambling the lives of Iranian people so that it can be used as a bargaining chip to get cash from Western countries for its own terrorism activities. It all comes down to cash. The Islamic Republic says they don't have money, they don't have cash to provide medicine for the people because of the sanction. Really? I'm going to show you some evidence that when they have money, they use it for their own purpose. In January, the government gave an extra 200 million euros to the Revolutionary Guards. Here is the video.
ما بودجه کافی رو فقط برای این 2 ماه آخر سال 200 میلیون یورو از صندوق توسعه ملی برای حمایت از نیروی قدس سپاه پاسداران که مسئولیت مقاومت در منطقه رو بر عهده دارد اختصاص می‌دهیم.
It breaks my heart that the regime has money, but they are using it for their own purpose to kill the people, to promote their political Islamic ideology. Let me show you another evidence on how the government gives more money to religious institutions than to health care. This year, just this year, the government increased the budget of more than 40 religious institutions and allocated more money to the families of the key religious figures in Iran, like the sons of Ayatollah Khomeini and Ayatollah Khamenei. Can you believe that? There is money for outside group and militias as well. Javad Zarif, the foreign minister of the Islamic Republic, tell the Western media Iran has no money to deal with coronavirus. But I am here to tell you that the Islamic Republic has money, but they prefer to send their money to the proxies in Lebanon, in Iraq, in Syria, in Yemen. Watch these videos and judge for yourself.
نحن وعلى المكشوف ويمكن هيك شيء بالعالم كله ما فيه انه واحد يطلع علنا وشفاف وصادق وبيقول للعالم كله نحن يا خيي على راس السطح موازنة حزب الله ومعاشاته ومصاريفه وأكله وشربه وسلاحه وصواريخه من الجمهورية الإسلامية في إيران. تمام؟ ما حدا له علاقة بهذا الموضوع. طالما بإيران في فلوس يعني نحن في عنا فلوس. هتكون شفافية أكتر من هيك.
Millions of Iranians are furious because we don't want our money to go to Hezbollah, to go to Bashar Assad. They send me thousands of videos to express themselves because they want to be heard by the Western media. Now I want you to listen to the father of one of those protesters who got killed by the Revolutionary Guards. He wants to tell you how the government used the money when there is no sanctions.
خانم علی نژاد، من میخوام این فیلمی که براتون میفرستم تو رسانه ها پخش کنید. اگر تحریم ها برداشته بشه با فروش نفت و منابع ایران اسلحه خواهند خرید و با اون اسلحه فرزندان ما رو خواهند کشت. اون پولی که میگیرن خرج آقازاده ها میکنن یا پولی که میگیرن میبرن کشورهای عراق، یمن، لبنان، فلسطین به اونا کمک میکنن. به مردم ایران کمک نمیکنن.
It is truly heartbreaking that these people like Puya's father has no voice inside Iran and outside Iran. But I find it especially heartbreaking that some in the international community are ready to trade favors with Javad Zarif, the representative of an oppressive regime. Instead of demanding the release of political prisoners, instead of demanding the release of dual nationals that are kept as hostage, they want to give cash to the same regime. History will judge you. History will judge the international community. Are you going to stand with the dictators or with the people who are fighting against dictators? Some in the international community and certain lawmakers in the United States of America naively think they have to choose between two options, between the Islamic Republic and the Trump's administration. No. If you are a human rights activist, you only have one option. You always choose human rights. I have a message to those who say that the international community should not interfere to internal matters of the Islamic Republic. No, human rights is a global issue. The tragedy of coronavirus should teach us a lesson. When the virus spread in China, it didn't stay there. When the virus spread in Iran, it didn't stay there either. The virus spread to the rest of the world because of mismanagement, because of the corruption, because of the dictatorship. So if you don't take an action against a deadlier virus, which is called religious dictatorship in Iran, then it can infect the rest of the world. You see, when the dictators are united, we, the human rights activists, must be united too. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. My name is Michelle Galina with the Human Rights Foundation. Masih, I want to thank you for that powerful presentation of truth amidst so much disinformation right now. It's so vital that we have voices like yours to highlight the range of misinformation and mismanagement occurring in what is really one of the epicenters of the COVID-19 crisis. So thank you so much.
It's a pleasure for me.
Thank you. So we've had a very robust response to your talk. We've got a number of questions coming in from the audience right now. So to get us started, I wanted to do a deeper dive into one of the points that you raised that will lead us into the first question. So I think just as we saw yesterday during our COVIDCon discussion on China, it's really clear from your presentation that we also really cannot be blindly trusting the official numbers coming out of the Iranian regime with regard to COVID, particularly given its history of cover-ups and disinformation. And we know that just 2 weeks ago, Iranian authorities issued a decree that actually suspended newspaper printing in Iran under the guise of needing to slow the spread of coronavirus. So in a country where fact-finding is really already such a challenge, the first question we have here is, what sources can be trusted for information on the true extent of both the number of corona cases and the resulting death toll? And really, what is the discrepancy between the reality on the ground and what the regime would want us to believe when we're looking at these numbers?
That's a very good question. To be honest, what is very, very frustrated in Iran right now is the thing that you mentioned. People do not have any idea that how they can trust the official media inside Iran, how they can trust the officials while they are well known of hiding the numbers, hiding the truth. I just want to start actually from last November protest in Iran. Still, we don't have any numbers about the number of people who got killed. Reuters announced that 1,500 people got killed. Amnesty International managed to find the family of 300 people who got killed, but still, the government did not give any statistic, any numbers. So the same happening about coronavirus in Iran as well. Every day, they come out and on TV, all the officials with a big smile on their face. Won't believe me, right now, they have big smile on their face and saying that, thank God, in the West, a lot of people are dying, but in Iran, the number is going down. So they're actually thanking God and using the freedom of expression in the West. They are using the freedom of media in the West, the transparency that media in the West actually announcing the correct numbers. They're using that. And President Rouhani said that on TV, thank God, people are dying, the numbers are very high. And the health minister of Iran said the same thing, say that thank God, people are dying, they don't have hospital, they don't have enough hospital and to take care of the people. But in Iran, we are fine, we are good. And another thing is, they said that officials on Iranian national television, they said that we received a call from Italy, from Belgium, from Western country. They asked us to help the Western country about coronavirus because they are very surprised at how we deal with coronavirus. So you see, people are laughing. They don't trust this regime, but this is tragedy happening because not only they're using the freedom of expression in the West to lie to their own people, they're even thanking God that people are dying in the West. And we don't know how to trust this regime because people turn on the TV, they don't get any clue. They don't get any true information through official media.
Absolutely. So this next question asks, how do you think the coronavirus pandemic and the anger and frustrations of citizens will shape the regime protest movements in Iran? And how are the Iranian people involved in these protests reacting to the regime's handling, and I would add the mishandling of the pandemic?
Yesterday, actually, I received videos from drivers, from street peddlers, taking to the street. I know it is very dangerous, but they were protesting against the government and saying that we haven't been working for 2 months, we stay at home, but we haven't been paid our salaries for month and month before coronavirus. So, but the thing is, Of course, right now people are dealing with a deadly virus and they're looking for help for the regime, but regime is useless because they spend the money in Syria, in Lebanon, as I mentioned, for their own purpose. And that's why they're not helping the workers. But still, one of the officials actually came on TV. This is beyond sad, saying that we have to thank coronavirus because now we don't see any protest in the streets. So for them, actually, it's a competition between two viruses, the coronavirus and the religious dictatorship virus, that pushing people back behind pushing back people to stay at home because they didn't know how to deal with Iran protests. But I am sure that people are furious with the regime and they will get this to the street. They will protest again because they don't have bread. They don't have any solution. They don't know what to do. And that is why we actually receive videos from people. It's very sad, wearing like masks and sitting in front of official buildings, the Iranian parliament, protesting against the regime and saying that you stay at home, but you want us stay at home while we don't have money, we don't have food, we don't have anything to take care of ourselves. So for that, I'm sure that people are going to take back to the street again.
Thank you. And I'd add a note for our audience that's, if you're interested in learning about this topic more globally, we'll have a session later today that actually is looking at how this pandemic is really shaping protest movements around the world and how we can keep them alive and strong. So this conversation is a really great segue into that.
I have to add that actually this is very important. Look, people are not giving up the protesting against the regime. You can see online people are using their social media to protest against the cover-up, against the lying, against the dictatorship. And what happened? The government still oppressed them. I have to tell you that one of the well-known athletes in north of Iran got arrested just because of using his own social media and attacking the government and saying that, why you lied to people? So what happened? They arrested him, but they filtered actually the social media. I mean, can you believe that? Right now, the Islamic Republic begging the rest of the world and saying that you have to bail out the regime, you have to give us cash because we don't have money to quarantine. But they can do something that they don't need to spend money. They can, let these people are suffering from going to internet, Twitter, to Instagram, to Telegram, to use social media to work, to make money. They don't give up the filtering, or they don't give them opportunity to work from home. So they arrest people, they filter all the social media. Why? Because they want to stop people from protesting against the regime. So for this reason, I have to say that people still cannot come to the street, but still protesting using their social media, which is actually open for Javad Zarif, for President Rouhani, for the supreme leader of Iran, using the Twitter, they're not filtered, to mislead the rest of the world about coronavirus.
So, Masih, we are running a bit short on time, but so I wanted to close with this question that's gotten a lot of votes from our audience here. You stated in your presentation that history will judge not only the dictatorship, but it will also be judging the international community. So this question asks, what would the ideal international response to Iran look like right now? And I'd add, how do you think the international community, how can we mobilize to support the Iranian people during this pandemic when they cannot clearly count on the support of their own government?
That's a very good question. And thank you so much for giving me the opportunity to express how I feel about international, involvement in such a crime against humanity. And I want to tell you that a lot of people inside Iran, they are furious when they see that some of the activists, human rights activists, instead of helping the family of political prisoners who are right now are suffering from the mismanagement, the corruption, they actually helping the regime. Let me tell you from my own experience. My brother is in prison right now. I reached out to many human rights activists, to some of the lawmakers in the United States of America where I live. I actually called Ilhan Omar. I actually called some of the feminists that I need your help, because not only my brother, there are a number of brave women are in prison, and coronavirus entered in prison. The government do nothing. So we can get together, we can stick together and ask for the release of these political prisoners. But we don't see any campaign to be the voice of these political prisoners. Instead, we see that some of the human rights activists outside Iran became the voice of Javad Zarif, the representative of the oppressive regime, trying to help him. So I want to actually ask them, think about it, put yourself in my place. If you have a family member in prison, what would be your reaction? You just keep silent and you try to help the dictators? That's why I said in my speech that the history will judge you, because people are dying, not just because of coronavirus, but with the Islamic Republic as well. So that is why I think it's not late. Still, I call on all activists around the world, the lawmakers, the international community, people, the family of those people who are killed, they're calling you, the family of political prisoners, the family of dual national citizens who are in prison, the family of women's rights activists, the family of, the environmental activists. You won't believe me, they are in prison, and the government, do not give them a voice and arrest the family, and they want to keep them silent. So the only way is this: the international community can hear us and help us to make a huge campaign and asking for the release of political prisoners, rather than helping the dictators like, the officials in the Islamic Republic.
Definitely. We definitely all need to ensure that this pandemic is not used as an excuse for eroding basic human rights. So, Masih, we are so grateful that you could be with us. As always, you are such a powerhouse and an integral part of the Oslo Freedom Forum community. So thank you for showing us how to counter the narrative of authoritarian regimes.
Thank you so much. It was a pleasure for me to join this amazing conference.